Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Sisterhood Society podcast. We are lighting things up today with just like a fun, quick, silly episode of things that give us the ick. And I've been seeing this trend like on TikTok and other places. So we thought it'd be funny to discuss. But before we dive in, let's get into what is our good. I feel like we've had a lot of guest episodes. This is the first time we've just had the three of us, so we can catch up on life, tell you guys a little bit about ourselves, and then go from there. So, Whit, why don't you go first?
Well, we launched our Patreon. That is really good news. And we've got about 43 people in there, and they're actually longtime VIPers. So we know some of them really well. And they're just kind of like just sweet little cheerleaders. They like are coming alongside each other, and we're just being really intentional with that community and sharing some just like behind the scenes stuff, but also like prayer requests that we can pray over each other. It's just like, I feel like it's just like a happy place in the world that you can go and just feel better when you left it, or like better as you like when you leave it, you just feel better, you know?
Yeah.
I don't feel that way when I hop on Instagram and Facebook a lot of the time. And so I feel like it's just a great place where I feel like God is just like cultivating such a special place. Also, it was the Super Bowl yesterday. So we had a Super Bowl party yesterday. Isaac is a diehard Chiefs fan, and our brother-in-law, Zach, is a diehard Eagles fan. So we had them over. And let me tell you, I was stressed because every time one team made a good play, the other person would be annoyed. And then this person would be happy. And then it would flip-flop every single drive. And it was very frustrating and very stressful.
I was going to say, I can't imagine caring enough about a team to be stressed during a game.
Yeah.
But I do, the only time that I ever felt like I was like nervous was when the Cubs went to the World Series. Because I was like, this would be so cool for Chicago because they hadn't won in like 105 years or something.
Yeah.
And our dad loved the Cubs when he was like a little boy. And so I was like, for our dad's sake, I like really wanted the Cubs to win for him. And so I remember watching that World Series and like genuinely feeling really, really nervous. But at the end of the day, if they lost, I really wouldn't have cared. Like, like the next day, I would have been like, oh, well, move on.
That's how my sister-in-law and I were. We were both just like, you know, both of us were probably rooting for our husband's team because we had to like live with that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they tried to be very respectful of each other.
Yeah.
And not like gloat when something like went their way.
That's
They were great. It was fun. I'm glad we did like the little party. Tara helped me decorate the whole thing because it was like 3 days before and I'm just like already like so stressed. And I was like, Tara, can you decorate this party first? I want it to be cute, but I also don't want to spend a lot of money and I also don't want to put in any effort.
You actually did majority of it. The really only thing that I came up with was the turf.
The turf was the best part.
It kind of brought it all together.
It really did. Because otherwise it was just like streamers. And then our centerpiece was Isaac's cardboard cutout of Mahomes that we have in our basement. And what was funny is I went to sleep one night and then I woke up the next day. It was Sunday morning. I woke up and I go out to the kitchen and next to Mahomes is this championship football ring from last year. I think they won like in the championship. I don't know, whatever. Or maybe it was 2 years ago. And that was sitting on the table in the centerpiece. And then he also brought up these like mini helmets that he had downstairs. So one was Eagle and one was Chiefs, and they were like back to back. And I was like, okay, Isaac's like adding his own thing. And then come to realize he has this like flat a towel that has like Chiefs championship something or other on it, and he hung it on the front door, so when they came to walk in, it's a thing Zach saw when he walked in the door, but he hasn't taken it down. So it's like Isaac's doing like a victory lap with all of his Chiefs gear around town because he's just so happy that they won. and I have to just sit there and let him do it.
That's pretty
Well, I
funny.
was laughing because she said he went to his work meeting this morning at church and his full-on Chiefs gear, and it was pajama day at school, and Riv is like decked out in Chiefs as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet you too that Isaac tried to get Indy to wear something Chiefs, and Indy has more of an opinion about what he wears.
I was gonna
But
say,
yeah.
I feel like it would be so sad because wasn't the Eagles the team that hasn't won in a really long time?
They haven't been to the Super Bowl in a while, I don't think.
And also, like, they claim that Eagles fans are like not worse, but like more intense than like the Bills fans. You know, the Bills Mafia is like really intense. I guess that they're like, because Claudia was talking about that on the toast because she was going to wear 49ers gear to the Eagles game. And a bunch of her followers were messaging her and be like, literally don't wear that in Philadelphia. You'll get beat up. And they were being serious. And I was like, I just like can't imagine starting a fight over like a team. Like the fandoms, like the Titans fandom is not like that at all.
I was saying to Brian today, I was like, I literally cannot remember the last, outside of ISU basketball, I can't remember the last time that I cared enough about a team and or a sport that the outcome of the game affected my mood.
Right.
It's been so long.
So weird.
It affects Isaac. Like if the Chiefs lost, he was moody. Like he was just like anxious. If like the time Mahomes hurt his ankle, like anxious all week. And like when he hurt his ankle, he gathered us all around to pray for him.
No,
I'm
talk about how
I feel like this has gone a touch too far. I mean, I'm totally fine with praying for the players because I know that it's intense, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like we could tone this down a little bit.
Like we've entered into a place that's not healthy.
Like obsession.
Mention the cold going through the Chiefs.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Was it No, it was Saturday where so when we're driving around town, sometimes Isaac has like the NFL like XM radio on or whatever, and they were talking about like the health of the teams or whatever, and Isaac just stops and he's like fully serious, and I'm thinking he's gonna like say something like about someone we know or whatever, and he's just like, yeah, I hear that there's like a cold going through like the Chiefs locker room right now. And I sat there and I was like waiting for more, and that was it. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're terrified about colds. Well, anyways, needless to say, I'm glad that they won just for the sake of my home, like the peace of my house. And I am glad that I get a little reprieve from the like football obsession. It's been fun, like just like cheering on the Chiefs and then seeing them win and everything. But like, it'll be nice to have some reprieve.
I was going to say, I feel like in my house, it's like a 24/7 sports reel of some sort, which is why I read so much, because if it's not football, Phil's really into the NBA. So basketball is starting. He loves March Madness. And then in the summertime, there's hockey, and he really loves the Preds, which the Preds are actually really good in Nashville. So it's like our one claim to fame. And then I guess then that brings us back to football, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
he doesn't like baseball.
Yeah, he'll watch the World Series every year, which is always really annoying. Like he'll watch the playoffs, and like, I think baseball is, I feel bad saying this, I would rather watch soccer. Like I think baseball on TV is so dull. I think going to baseball is fun, but on TV, I don't understand how people can think. It's like,
I feel that way. Honestly, I feel that way about basketball. It literally just feels, and Isaac likes watching March Madness too. And I'm just like, no, I literally cannot with basketball because it just feels like a lot of squeaks of their shoes on the hardwood floors. And then it's just like back and forth, back and forth. Like at least with like football, I like football because there's like different plays and like it's very like strategic and methodical and like there's ways to map out. And I guess there are plays in basketball too, but it's just like, it feels like the same thing over and over and over again. It's just like running back and forth. And then like someone like getting a basket in or missing the shot. And they go to like 150. It's just like, how long do we have
it's
to
weird
watch?
too that there's so much culture around football of people like having football food and like weekends where people come over and like the ribs. Like you don't really do that with basketball or baseball or hockey.
Yeah, football is like a full lifestyle because you've got like tailgating, and then like you've got like, you know, the preseason games, and then you've got like the actual like first get, like it's a full like culture.
That's
which
true.
is kind of fun. So I get it. Like, and like if you're wearing like your Chiefs gear out and like somebody likes the Chiefs, they'll strike up a conversation with you. Like that's a thing. But like with basketball, I just can't do basketball. I cannot. And I'm actually dreading March.
Okay. So Tara, we are going to move on to you. What was your good?
Well, we went to a Super Bowl party yesterday too at my cousin's house, and I was laughing because there was only like three or four older boys there, but there was like tons of girls. So like anywhere from Britain's age up to like 5th grade, probably like 10 or 12 of them. And Briggs was in the center of all of them. So they were like upstairs and downstairs and outside and inside and all over the place. And like as they would come up the steps and down the steps, Briggs is just toddling behind all of them. Like he wanted to be in the center of like everything going on. And the kids were telling me on the way home that like everybody loved Briggs, and they were all like cheering him on when they play game and all
Oh, that's so cute.
It was so funny. He had like the best time. And but they kept going outside and it was dark. And so I was trying to make sure that like one of them was keeping an eye on him. And so I said to Briley, Briley, can you keep an eye on Biggie for me while he's outside so that he doesn't like go on the road and stuff like that? And she's like, okay, but it's going to be really easy to lose him in the dark. And I was like, okay, we're going to go inside. I'm not going to take a chance.
She's like, yeah, I'm not going to put that much effort in, but I'll try to keep an eye out.
Like, I'll do what I can, but it's going to be
really dark out. Oh, that's such a Briley response, but it's just so classic. That makes me laugh. That's cute.
So anyway, but we had a good time.
Good.
Do you have any s'mores mix left?
I do actually. I brought some. I left some with Marissa, and then I brought home the rest.
We can make a little switcheroo. I have some like corn casserole dip.
We could.
Phil left to go to a party for the first half of the game because one of his friends was hosting and our friend Jake Clatter was cooking. And Jake's food is like so amazing. So they did this like huge taco spread. And so while he was gone, I was like, oh, it'd be fun for me to like make some football food for us. And I made those buffalo chicken sliders from Half Baked Harvest, which I messed up, which the flavor was good, but I didn't make them the way that I messed up with the butter topping. But the entire time I actually bought stuff to make nachos because I love like nachos is one of my favorite foods. And I also made stuff to make pretzel bites. And I was so uncomfortably full after the sliders because of my ovaries being inflamed that I couldn't make any more food. So I didn't really get to enjoy like Super Bowl food, which is very sad. But they said that your ovaries can be so inflamed that they can touch and like that it puts pressure since they're like swollen, that it can put pressure or like touch other organs like your bowels or your stomach or like, ugh. So that's why I think I've felt so uncomfortable every time I eat.
That makes sense because your stomach is like getting bigger or smaller based on your food that's inside of you.
So by the time I hit dinner, I'm like so uncomfortable that I feel like there's no more room. But yeah, I'm still hungry and I want to eat dinner. It's like this weird feeling. Oh my gosh. Okay. So my good is that I'm done with injections and done with egg retrieval, which I think is probably the hardest part of this process. That's what everyone's telling me, at least. Honestly, the worst part was the whole bottle of Miralax that they made me drink. That was honestly the most. Not only could I not, that I had to clear my bowels, but they also wouldn't let me eat for basically a full day before. They said liquid diet and I could have juice, broth, jello, or popsicles. And I was so hungry that I felt like hopeless. I was like so miserable because I didn't feel good from the Miralax and then I couldn't eat. And I was so hungry that I almost felt like nauseous, in addition to the fact that I already felt uncomfortable because my ovaries were full of eggs. So all around, like last Thursday was just a really humbling experience. But literally they wheeled me back for surgery at 8:05 and I was eating crackers by 8:25.
Well, Phil, I was shocked how quick it went because Phil was saying that they was it like 8:39? He was like, yeah, she's already out in recovery and awake. And we were like, whoa.
And I started waking up on the way back to the room. Like they wheeled me back and they're like, oh, she's awake. And I was like alert. And I didn't say, the only thing that I felt groggy saying is I asked them if they were singing Miley Cyrus. And they were like, no, we are singing ABBA. And then they were laughing that I asked that. And then I felt fully awake and like not saying anything silly because everyone's like, take videos of Kate. And I'm like, no, I'm awake. Like I can tell I'm fully with it. Whereas like my veneers, I was like not right for the first 12 hours. Like I was in and out of sleep. And when I was awake, I was still like definitely high. Like I was just like not right. Like I think because I was under for 4 hours, I think, with the veneers. So I think there's way more anesthesia.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between going under for like a 15-minute procedure versus a 4-hour procedure because your body is just trying to recover quickly. I bet like with this procedure, you were out and back so quickly that it probably just, you didn't feel, I mean, you're feeling the repercussions of like being sore and everything, but like not from necessarily surgery.
Today's the first day I feel like myself in a long time. Like I still don't fully like 100% feel like right. But I
feel like that might have more to do with like your hormone injections.
Yeah.
Because it's the hormones that I feel like are what are going to be like really altering you feeling a sense of hopelessness. That's probably estrogen dominance. Let me just tell you, I've been there. It's not fun.
I would literally fell asleep watching 2 hours of food reels. All I could think of, I could not stop fixating on food. Like I could not get out of the mindset of like in 8 hours I get to eat. So I watched cooking like half-baked harvest reels for over 2 hours and Phil was like, Kate, you have to put your phone away. Like there's more to life than food. And I was like, easy for you to say. You haven't been pooping all day and not able to eat. I was literally not okay. I was like so upset and so hungry. And I was just I just didn't feel good overall. Like, and then it's just so miserable.
What's funny with that is you've done intermittent fasting before, like with Renee. Like she has you do like a 24-hour fast. So how's that like? Well, I take that back. It's different because you're like had a bottle of Miralax too on top of
also like people talk about like the fullness, like that your ovaries are going to feel really full. And I was like, oh, I don't really feel that yet. Like, I don't know what people mean by that. And it wasn't until Sunday of last week, because I ended up having to take drugs longer than most people just because they wanted to they wanted me to see how much my body would respond to the drugs. So I did like 12 days of injections and most people only do like 8 or 7 or 6 or something like that. So she was saying, if your body starts slower, they'll like make you go almost 2 full weeks. So then I started feeling full, quote unquote, by like last Sunday. And then I felt like, it wasn't like I felt like I could tell I was bloating. It was more the fact that every time I ate, which everyone's like, good luck. That's what like pregnancy feels like you feel really full when you eat. Is that true?
Yeah. You definitely I remember feeling bloated all the time.
You feel bloated and then like also you feel nauseous and think eating might help it, but then you feel nauseous when you eat, but you're like hungry, but you can't eat more because you feel nauseous. It's really fun.
Yeah, I've heard the first trimester is a blast, so I can't wait for that. Okay,
every person though too, because like some people get really, really sick, and others like I felt like I had relatively easy pregnancies with all my kids. I didn't get nauseous with any of them. I remember having a week with Brecken where I was like full week where I was starving, but I was like my stomach hurt, and so anything I did eat was just felt like this stabbing pain. And I would just like, especially from like 4 to 8, it was like a really weird time frame, but it went on for a week and then I was fine. Whereas
I feel like you didn't really have morning sickness, but Whitney did.
Yeah, I never threw up any of them.
I threw up a little bit, but like it was more so I was just always nauseous, especially with Ever.
Yeah.
There was like there was like several months where the only thing I could eat was like chicken noodle soup. And like if I ate anything solid, it would feel like I was getting really bad heartburn. Like it was always coming back up. I got the fattest with her, which was really weird.
Isaac dropped off food at the office one time when I was working like on like a Saturday, and you were in the front seat and you had picked up chicken noodle soup from Noodles, and you were in the front seat fully like hunched over, and you had like a bag to your mouth, like you were puking in the front seat. And I was like, is Whit okay? And he's like, no, more of the same. She's always puking. And he was like, you were like so unwell with that pregnancy. I'm like, oh, good. Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But it's you both had different ailments, I feel like.
Yeah. I feel like every woman's like different. But yeah, with Ever, her pregnancy was different than the boys. The boys, it was like until I hit 18 weeks, I felt horrible. And then 18 weeks rolled around, I was fine. I had like pretty bad heartburn with both of them, but it was like manageable. Ever, I just felt miserable the entire time. And I was like, you know what? This is a good reminder that this is my last one. Like, I am okay with this being my last one.
Because you're 30. So if I'm 33, you're 36. You technically have like a couple more birthing years if something just happens to 40 and slip over there. So I'm kind of hoping that happens. That you one
do not speak that. Do not speak that.
I think that all those visions of a girl are for you, not me.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Isaac hasn't gotten his tubes tied yet.
So it's true.
Yeah, he needs to make that appointment because I'm done. Like mentally, I'm done. Like I was just telling someone today, I feel like all the lasts of like Ever, like, oh, this is the last time we're gonna go in for a 20-week appointment. This is the last time I'll have to do like the gestational like screening or whatever. And like this will be the last time I go in for my 40-week appointment. Like I savored those moments and I was able to put closure on them. So I am done. If God allows that to be the case.
I don't actually wish that on you because I feel like that would be really terrifying if you're like all of a sudden like, oh crap, I gotta go get a car seat. But and like, well, does she sleeps in a big girl bed now or is she still in the crib?
Actually, I do probably need to switch her over, but she's still in her crib. But she's still at the point where she like throws fits when she has to go to bed. So if we put her in a big girl bed, she'd escape.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so we're going to get into our icks. We just lollygagged for like 30 minutes. We're like, let's make it a quick episode. That's okay. We did a full Super Bowl recap, a full life update. And now we're going to get into our icks. So who wants to start?
I told this one to Whit the other day, so I feel like this is a good one to start off with.
Okay.
So
it is.
So when Brian is sick, he will like blow his nose and he will say, do you want me to show you what's coming out of my nose? And I'm like, no.
What?
Yeah. I'm like, I don't need to see that. Like, nor does anybody need to see that. Like, why would I want to see what has come out of your nose? Like, it's so gross.
I think I was telling her, first of all, hilarious. Also, you're just throwing Brian under the bus right now too. I feel like
mine don't have anything to do with Phil this time,
but I feel like it's kind of his way of like solidifying the fact that he is actually sick, because like a lot of times guys, when they say they're sick, you're like, yeah, right, you've got your man cold or whatever. And I feel like maybe his way of confirming that he is sick is to show you his green snot.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he wants to validate that he is not feeling well. But I was like, I don't like nobody wants to see that, right? Like, and secondly, like that's normal when you're sick that you would have, things coming out of your nose. Like that's normal. Like I don't need to see it to validate that you're not feeling good.
Yeah, so that definitely gives me the ick. I would not want to see someone snot.
Well, I didn't do things that give me the ick, meaning like they were gross. It was more like things that make me cringe.
Yeah, both. I did both.
Oh, okay. I was like, I feel like I just didn't understand the assignment. Okay, first of all, I had a hard time coming up with these because I feel like it's one of those things you have to think about for a while and make a list. And so I went on TikTok and was getting inspiration of what other people were saying with their icks. And then it just happened to remind me of things. But I was in the shower right before we started and I wrote this down. I really don't love when people go out in public in printed pajama pants. Like if it's sweatpants, that's fine. But like printed PJs where it's like Christmas jammies or like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I do. Actually, it's funny you say that because we went to Five Guys the other day and it was like 2 PM. We had just run a bunch of errands and this gal walked in and she is in printed pajamas and like a sweatshirt and like Ugg boots. And I remember looking over at her and being like, they must have had a really long night the other like
it's such a ballsy move because like sweats is different. It's like a lounging, but you're like literally wearing what you wear to bed out. It feels like the ultimate like slob kebab move to me. I think that's why. I don't know. I mean,
the thing that I thought, I was like, oh, they must have had a rough night last night and they just like wanted, and I looked at them and I was like, I don't care. But the thought process was she had a rough night and couldn't get dressed.
That's true.
That was what I thought.
Probably the case.
And they were like, you know what will cure this is some Five Guys greasy burgers.
It probably did. It probably cured it. What's your first one?
My first ick is when Isaac eats Frosted Flakes. He always has a bowl of Frosted Flakes or like cereal before he goes to bed. And he doesn't rinse out the bowl. But he like dumps it. And then there's Frosted Flakes in the morning. They're like cemented to the sink and to the bowl.
Mm.
That gives me the ick because then I have to go in with my fingernail and scrub them off.
Ew, not your fingernail. Do you not have like a scraper? Not the fingernail.
Well, like sometimes too, like when you wash it and it comes back out, they're still cemented to the bowl.
Okay, I have a solution for you besides Isaac just rinsing his bowl. If you have a Lodge cast iron, they make a scraper that's plastic for the Lodge brand. It's a Lodge brand scraper. And I use it obviously for our cast iron, but it also works great when you're trying to scrape like pans because it doesn't like leave like the metal marks that like a steel wool does. And it's
on the Pampered Chef one because like our cookie sheets came with those years ago. Do you remember?
A plastic one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I never got that. I have like the scraper, the like pastry scraper. But no, I just have the plastic one.
Yeah, I don't have one of those. I do have like our metal thing that we use to like get cookies off of a cookie sheet.
Yeah, that's what I've
not like a spatula, but like the dough cutter type of thing. But like it would scrape up my sink because my sink is stainless steel. So then I have to go in with my fingernail or like something to get the cereal that is cemented to the sink off. It's gross and I hate it. It gives me the ick.
In regards to the sink, the other one that gives me the ick is that Brian turns on the disposal just like haphazardly without checking to make sure if anything's down in there. And I can't stand when the disposal goes on and it just sounds like it's grinding up something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't believe you just have like wild abandon and you just flip on the switch with no regard to like, what if a spoon is down there? Like, it just makes me like.
You would see a spoon sticking out, wouldn't you?
Well, if it's like a kid's spoon or if it's something smaller, it may not be, so, but he doesn't like sticking his hand on the disposal, which I understand. But like, I also don't want stuff like grinding around in there either. Like the sound just like grates on my ears.
Yeah. Okay. I am the same. I cannot stand if I hear something like grinding up down there, but I also refuse to stick my hand in there. I refuse. So I actually don't even turn on the disposal. I let Isaac do that.
Oh, that's so gross. We're like kind of crazy about dishes. So we don't usually put dishes in the sink.
Well, what if the dishwasher is full?
I unload it. right away.
But what if the dishwasher's going?
Like if it's running, that's about the only time that there's dishes in the sink.
Well, when you have lots of extra children running around, there's going to be excess dishes. Unless you have 2 dishwashers.
Yeah, that's true. I just feel like I'm always like, that's the one thing, making my bed and doing the dishes. Like I can't sleep if I know, like I don't usually go to bed with a dirty room either. Cause I feel like because I'm OCD or ADD, whatever I am, I feel like I like hyperfixate on what it is. And then I sleep worse. So I'll be like, oh, I know that there's such and such out there and I can't think of it.
What's your next one?
So I really don't like, this is really stupid. I really don't like, this is such a shots fired to my best friend Britt, when people put puppy chow in the fridge.
That's such a weird.
That is very random. You wouldn't like Isaac because he sticks his in the freezer.
Okay, I don't like when people put desserts in the freezer either, like Snickers bars, and like it's supposed to be like, you know what I mean? Like Phil sometimes will put like
Snicker in the freezer is fantastic.
But you're like, caramels are good in the freezer. That's like the only exception to the rule. But like chilled puppy chow, like I had a couple of friends in college that like chilled puppy chow over just like the classic, and it grosses me out.
Oh, that's funny. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's really specific to Britt, so she doesn't listen to the podcast, so it's fine. We've argued about it for years. What's your next one, Whit?
I washed my hair yesterday, but my next one is I cannot stand dirty hair. Icks me out. Like if I can
like if someone's like, I'm on day 9, that freaks
me.
Oh
my gosh. Yeah. And I go like a few days in between washing. I have even gone like 7 days in between washes, which is not unusual. But I cannot stand it. It like creeps me out. I cannot stand having dirty hair. I also cannot stand if Isaac like showers but doesn't wash his hair. He doesn't like washing his hair a lot because it gets fluffy. It grosses me out. Like I think it's so gross, like having oily, like dirty hair, especially with guys because they don't have like dry shampoo to make it like not oily and stinky and like I just cannot stand dirty hair.
This episode should be called Things Whit and Tara Don't Like About Their Husbands. This is not things that give you the ick. This is things that annoy you about Isaac and Brian.
That's true. Okay, well, like they're just like little things that I find icky. It's not that like he annoys me with it. It's just in general, it's like even with myself, if my hair is really dirty, it icks me out. Like I have to wash it.
Do you guys ever since you have to style your hair, like this used to bug me a lot in high school when straight hair was the thing, where like people don't like fully straighten it and there's like kinks in the back of their head, where you're like in church and someone like curled their hair, but then there's like pieces that are completely straight where they like just didn't look at the back of their head. I think about that all the time, where I'm like, you missed like 4 huge chunks at the back of your head.
That's why I go layer by layer, because I have like a literal obsession with, I can't stand when I can feel like something in the back where like I missed a spot. It drives me bananas. But yeah, I feel like even if you have a straightener that is like, you don't have to have a high-end straightener to get it all out. I think the thing is that people go fast and they do too big of chunks. And so they're not getting like enough, like you have to go like thinner layers to be able to get it off.
It's true. Okay, what's your next one?
Mine?
Yeah.
I don't like it when people say moist or panties.
Ooh, moist is one of the worst words.
I don't like either one.
It's why panties? Panty, like why do people say panties? It just sounds like
I don't think that like women ever say like a bra and panty set. Like I don't think women say that. Yeah. I think guys do. Like there's something that guys like the word panties, but like women I had this conversation with countless people, women specifically, and they don't like the word. They think it's weird. It's a weird
panties
word.
Feels like juvenile to me.
Yeah, it feels like feminine in like a adolescent like
yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like we're women, we give birth, it's underwear.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, my next one is everybody already knows, but it has to be said. It's just Crocs. Just honestly, most shoes made of rubber also give me the ick. I think that there's so many materials to choose from. There's a few like athletic slides that are fine, or that like, but I just feel like rubber shoes are like specific to gardening and yard work, and yet we've chosen to wear them as a fashion statement. And it's not that I don't recognize that Crocs are comfortable. Like people argue it with me constantly where they're like, but try it on. I'm like, no, I know that they're comfortable. You know, it's not that I don't recognize the comfort. It's the fact that you're wearing them. Like I will never, I'll just never understand it. So I understand it as like a boat shoe, and I understand it as like a gardening shoe.
She just took shots at both you and me with my flip-flops and your slides, Whitney.
I also feel like flip-flops.
Here you go. Let's hear it.
I feel like flip-flops are like a lack of effort shoe. And again, it's not that I don't understand the functionality of them or the comfort. It's just they're so like.
Well, all of mine broke, so I can't wear mine anyway.
When you birth quadruplets, Kate, from your IVF, if you start wearing Crocs, I'm going to light your house on fire.
No, I will literally never. I could see myself wearing flip-flops like Tara did when you were pregnant and your feet were swollen. Or was it you that was wearing flip-flops in the winter?
It was me. My feet swelled up so bad. Oh, well, and yours too, I think, Tara, because we both had
yeah.
I just remember I took a picture of me and Whitney's feet together when you were like 9 months pregnant with Rib, and I posted on Instagram and labeled it sister feet. Your feet looked like elephant trunks, and my toes needed a pedicure so bad. And it was like the most tragic photo ever. Oh gosh, your ankles were like gone. They're just not there.
My feet were so swollen with Rib. It was the weirdest thing. I had like level 4 edema. It was like
literally. I don't remember your feet swelling like that with Indy though.
No, Indy was in the I had him in the middle of winter. So I think that helped. Riv, he was born at the end of August, and it was hotter than hell's front porch here. So it was bad. And then Ever was also born in the winter, so I didn't really swell with her either.
I was gonna say if I get implanted in the next 6 weeks, then I'll have a winter baby, which will be nice because then when I'm the biggest, I won't be as hot. Because I think
what was nice about a January baby is that you can go through Thanksgiving and Christmas and not feel guilty about eating your little heart out, because you're like, well, the baby's coming out in like any day now. So
you know what I've always dreamt of is having a holiday in my own house and like not having to sleep in someone else's bed. And like waking up on Christmas morning and just being in my own house. And this year, I think I'm going to get to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to have to, I don't think I'll be able to travel, which is gorgeous. And even if I can, I'll probably just say that I can't. Just so that everyone knows that I can't. But Mom already said, we already talked about doing an early Christmas this year. Doing like Florida and then doing like a December 5th or something kind of Christmas where we like do like an early weekend in Nashville, which honestly I think would be so much more fun.
Me too.
I agree. Cause like here in December, it feels for one, like really depressing because there's so much snow and so much cloud cover. Yeah. And then two, we don't have any stores to shop. That's so like true. If we want to buy stuff for people, we can't go out and do it and have like that quintessential like Christmas shopping. We'd have to like travel somewhere to go do that.
So for you. Because I love going to the mall at Christmas. It's like something very magical about like getting gifts physically in person still. There is something nice about that.
What we should do is we should make it like a 4 or 5 day weekend, just like extend it, like come down on like a Thursday and go home Monday or something like that. Yeah. And we can all do Christmas shopping together. We can go to the tree lighting in Franklin, like just do all the fun things, like do fun things with the kids. Cause it'd be warmer down there too. And I mean, the kids aren't not going to care whether we celebrate early or later. So
actually the Lawsons were here that weekend this year because Phil's brother plays with Maren Morris and she had a show. And it was like one of the best, like magical Christmas weekends because they came down, I think, on a Wednesday because the show was I think the show was on a Friday night. And then so Friday night we went to the show, and then Saturday we hung out and watched. There was like soccer World Cup situations happening. So they watched that. We made cinnamon rolls. I made that TikTok cinnamon roll recipe. And then we went to a really early dinner and did the Home Alone symphony. And we got all dressed up, and it was just like really fun and cozy. And everything was decorated for Christmas. So everywhere we went felt like really festive. So I just feel like it's also hard, I feel like, for our mom to like host like holidays in someone else's house that's not her own, because she's so good at like making these really elaborate meals. But if you're not in your own house and you're hosting, I do feel like that would be so difficult. I mean, she's always done a good job, but I just mean like she really thrives on making things like special. And she always has these like amazing like tablescapes and centerpieces and stuff. So I feel like it would be fun for her to get to host in her own house, which would be nice.
I agree. I think we should make it.
And I feel like all the families too are trying to jam pack, like get their time in this like short amount of time. And obviously like you've got in-laws, and then you've got extended family, and then you've got your personal family. And then like Isaac and I, we wanted to have our own special one with our kids. So like we're just trying to jam pack so much in such a short period of time that it becomes so stressful. And I'm like, this shouldn't be stressful.
Another thing that would be cute to do with the kids, not that we're talking about Christmas in February, but, the Cheekwood lights are happening in December, and they have like real reindeer out that like the kids can pet. And then they have these like drink carts where you can get like hot chocolate to like, you can get spiked drinks obviously too if you're an adult, but like you can get all the kids like little hot chocolates, and then you walk through the gardens and they're all lit up for Christmas, and it's really cute. So anyways, that would be cool. Okay, is it me next, or was that
I said moist and panties. Oh no, that's Whitney's turn because you said Crocs.
Yeah, he did. Sorry.
What
else don't we like about Isaac?
I promise I'm not trying to like bash him. And there's there's very little about Isaac that I find icky. And I wouldn't be married to him if that were the case. But touching public doors and like bathroom doors, or public toilet seats. Anywhere in
like
public,
not squatting.
Anywhere in public, I always grab like things with my hand in my shirt. Which
what do you do if you're not wearing a sweatshirt?
Then I always like pull it with my elbow. I don't touch anything with my hands. And public restrooms, I squat 100% of the time. I will not touch them.
What about like seat covers?
No. I don't trust them because sometimes there's like pee on the seat and you put the seat cover down and it just absorbs into the seat cover. I'm not sitting on that.
So I do
sitting in someone else's pee. It could be like from the toilet, like if you flush it and it sprays up. Even that, like, oh, that's another thing too. When I flush the toilet, I skedaddle on out of there because when the toilet flushes, it like puts stuff back up into the air. And I'm like, I'm breathing in other people's feces.
Oh my gosh. You know what's so annoying is when the door opens towards you, but there's not enough room. So you literally like can't get out. That is so annoying. So many gas stations and like McDonald's do that, where it's like the stall is so small that when you're trying to get out and open the door, I'm like, am I just big, or is this stall like just like, I feel like that is like the most frustrating experience where you feel stuck.
And like, why are all public restrooms disgusting? Like, why
not? If you go to that Jack Flash on the Effingham exit, that one's pretty nice.
Okay. I'll take your word for it and I'll check it out next time. But like
most McDonald's are pretty, like let me say this. If I'm on a road trip, I always pee at Starbucks.
Yeah. I try. And that one is a little bit better because I feel like, first of all, there's not as much foot traffic because a lot of people that go to Starbucks go through like the drive-through.
Yeah. It's a single stall too. It's like a single room.
Yeah. It's like, why are all public restrooms absolutely disgusting? Ugh. Creeps me out.
Probably because people are disgusting and people are really rude in public bathrooms and just don't care. And then they do gross things. And then think about the fact that like somebody's cleaning that.
Yeah.
they're doing the Lord's work here and just cleaning out like the tampon thing and all I just feel really sorry for someone who has to clean a public restroom.
If I had to clean a public restroom, I would be like head to toe hazmat suit. Like I would fully be hazmat suited, and then I would like literally scrub the walls, fully coated. You know those like pressure washers? I would totally do that. I would cover everything in like a disinfectant soap. I would grab a pressure washer. I would literally spray the ever loving crap out of that place. Like I
think that you're an Enneagram 6 because all my Enneagram 6 friends have so much hand sanitizer on them at all times, and you always have hand sanitizer. And a lot of my sixes friends are germaphobes, and I think I never knew this about you.
So Isaac is a 6. So that explains the hand sanitizer on at all times. But when I am stressed, a Enneagram 9 goes to a wing or like a 6.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains it.
So public restrooms stress me out, and so then I am now a germaphobe in public locations.
When I'm stressed, I go to an 8, which is Tara. Isn't that weird?
That's why people used to call you work Kate, because you have like work Kate and then like non-work Kate.
Yeah, sometimes that used to offend me because I'd be like, am I an asshole at work? Or why are you calling me that?
Well, and I think when I'm stressed, I go to a 5, right?
Yes, you go to Brian.
Yeah.
Which is so funny.
I become Brian when I'm stressed. I become Kate when I'm healthy.
Which is funny. What's just so funny because I feel like I get along. I don't feel like I understand Brian very well because I'm not married to him. I'm not around him a lot, but I feel like I get along really well with him. And he doesn't like get on my nerves at all. But I also feel like it'd be different if I don't feel like I could be married to a 5 because I'm too sensitive.
Yeah, I could see that. I can understand that.
I need more words of F.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, for sure. I feel like you end up with people that you're normally like naturally attracted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes sense.
So Tara is next.
My next one that gives me the ick is I can't stand it when people like overly inflate themselves or brag on themselves.
Ugh,
like,
yeah,
it just is like such a blah. Like I feel like that a lot of times people are trying to seem really confident, but it just screams insecurity. Yeah. And I feel like when you actually have self-confidence, you just exude it. You don't have to tell people like that you have it. And so it drives me nuts when people have to like tell you how great they are, because I think ultimately don't believe it themselves. And so it just always kind of gives this like feeling.
Yeah. Cringe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't like when men, or specifically older men, talk about their gains at the gym. There's this guy at the Y, and he's like obsessed with talking so loud to other people about like his protein routine. And he just got his blood work done and said it was flawless. And he was in the stretch room, and I was like, this room is supposed to be a quiet room. And I was doing like ab workout. This was a couple months ago when I was going to the gym like every morning. And like my AirPods were dead, which was just such a bad timing. And him and this other guy who was in his 70s were just like comparing their like flawless routines. I was just like, no one cares. And they were like, it wasn't like they were like trying to help give each other tips. It was like they were trying to like one up each other. And I was just like, you're talking loud so that other people will hear you and be impressed. But yet people are thinking like, stop, you know what I mean? And this guy like incessantly like looks at himself in the mirror. And I don't know, you know, when like I'm being so like mean, but I just like there's like this season of life where I was going to the gym at the exact same time as him, or like he was finishing a lot of the time when I was getting there. And so I just encountered him a lot for like 6 months. I call him Beefy Dad. He's really, really big, and he's like in his 60s. Okay, that one wasn't very good. Let me give you another one. I don't like when people who don't know me very well call me babe or like honey. Or like sweetheart. Like if you're like at the post office and they're like, okay, here you go, babe. I'm like,
I think that sometimes when people call honey and sweetheart, it can feel very like condescending,
yeah,
depending on like if they don't know you. Like
that's true.
I feel like it can come across like a well, sweetheart, like it can come across like a very condescending tone.
That's true.
I actually personally kind of don't mind that.
When someone calls you
like
babe, it's probably
like,
like less deprecating than, is deprecating the right word?
That's when you're trying to.
No, that's the wrong word.
Self-deprecation.
Sorry. Less, I don't know. It feels less demeaning, maybe.
Yeah, that's better.
Than sweetheart.
Yeah, I feel like it's an endearment that like if somebody is gonna go out of their way to like call me sweetheart or whatever. Yeah, it'd be one thing if it's condescending, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, it's kind of nice. It like crosses this boundary of like us being two strangers and then like, oh, we're friends.
Don't you feel like it happens more with older people?
Yeah.
Like I feel like
that's true.
I feel like a lot of I feel like most, like I don't feel like if you went to Starbucks and a 20-year-old is serving you that she's going to be like, hey babe, hey sweetheart, can I get your order? Like it would be like an older woman who is like helping you at a store or some type of like maybe like at a restaurant or something like that would say like, hey honey, can I get your order?
Well, 100%, because
I never thought that I would be that person that would use those words. Cause with Phil, I only say babe. We don't say anything else. And Phil never calls me babe. It's always Kate. Like there's literally no terms of endearment whatsoever. But I call the babies like babe or sweetheart. And I don't even know that I'm doing it. Like it's just weird that it comes out when I'm talking to them. Like when I'm talking to the kids. Kind of funny.
I think though you have a tendency to replicate like what we call them. And like I call them like babe or buddy or baby or whatever. And so I feel like you have a tendency to just kind of like repeat what we say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because it puts them at ease because you're using the same like terminology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mom says sweetheart to the kids a lot, actually.
I think it's kind of funny that Mom and Becky have adopted Ever's nickname as Chi Chi.
I know Mom never calls Ever. It's always Chi Chi, which it's like funny because Chi Chi just fits her so much. So it just like it makes sense. Or like I think it's even funnier when Mom or Dad will call her Cheech.
Yeah.
Instead of
Chi Chi. I don't think I've ever heard Dad call her Cheech.
Phil doesn't pick up nicknames. Like he won't call Briggs Biggie. And like he won't call Britton Bitten or like any of the names, but he calls Britton Brit.
Yeah.
And then he'll call he'll call Brecken Breck, but he won't every time I see I just said it. Every time I see Indy, I call him like Innie or Indin Winden because I think Indin Winden Chinden is hilarious that you guys call him.
Yes, we do.
So I always be like Indin Winden, but Phil will not like if it's he doesn't like when people make like really extreme weird nicknames for kids. Well, I shouldn't say he doesn't like it.
Oh, then he won't like Isaac.
Well, I shouldn't say he doesn't like it. He just doesn't like replicate what people call, like he wouldn't call Ever Chi Chi, which I'm like, why does it matter? But I'm sure he's going to have such weird nicknames for our kids. I'm sure.
What Isaac does to Tara's kids, he'll go up to Briley and be like, hey, Brecken. And she's like, I'm not Brecken every single time. And he'll go up to Brittany. He's like, Briley, I like your hair. And she's like, I'm not Briley.
That's so time. Isaac.
Because he thinks it's such a funny joke. And he does it every single time, except for Biggie's. He calls Biggie's Biggs. And he told me yesterday that he wants you to dress him up as Biggie for Halloween.
As Biggie,
like the rapper.
Yeah, the rapper Biggie Smalls. He wants him to dress up that way.
Also, Biggie, like I feel like calling him Briggs feels so formal.
Yeah.
Because he's such a goofy, like such a fun-loving kid that like it feels too formal to call him Briggs. Yeah. So I feel like Biggie or Biggs just fits him.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and for some reason when he was born, I don't know why, but Briggsy sounded weird to me. Like it just didn't fit. And whereas Biggie seemed more natural off the tongue. Right. So
yeah, but I say Briggsy
Briggsy is harder to say. Yeah.
Harder to say, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like me and mom and dad all say Briggsy still.
Briggsy.
Yeah. But now that we're used to hearing you say Biggie, I feel like I just call him that.
For the longest time, Brian wouldn't say it. He was like, his name is not Biggie. His name is Briggs. But like nobody calls him his name. Literally no one. Like even like people that don't know us super well, but like watch it on social media, like if we see him out in public, they call him Biggie. Like it's just funny. Like nobody calls him Briggs.
That's so funny. Did he call Marissa Toes last night?
He recognized. It was so funny because I was telling him like, hey, we got to go. We're going to, go to the party.
You're going to go to Toe's house.
I did. I was like, we're going to Toe's house. And then he was like, oh. It was so funny.
That's the funniest story. Honestly, like when you said that, I was like cry laughing.
You have to tell it now.
So our cousin Marissa babysat the kids. Like, so for my birthday, the last couple years, she's given me like 4 hours of babysitting as my gift. And I was like, that's so kind because it's super helpful. And like, it's not like you really need anything at this point in life. And so I'm like, that's so fun. So she brings like her daughter down and they just watch the kids. We go out to dinner, whatever. So she watched them a couple of weeks ago and she sent me these photos from I should see if I can find them. How long ago was that? She sent me these pictures of Briggs when she was babysitting and was like, he's so infatuated with my toes. And here. She sends me this photo. If you're watching the YouTube version, you can see. She sends me 3 pictures where he's just hovered over her feet. Like, look at this one. He's just like examining her toes. And he kept touching them because she had like bright purple toenail polish on. And I was like, he's probably not like ever seen that now that I think about it, because I've gotten my toes painted so few times, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like my toenail polish is like hanging on by a thread. There's literally like a strip from July. So the whole night he just kept like toes, and kept like looking at her feet. So she sends me these pictures. I'm like dying laughing. Well, she puts him to bed, and the next morning he gets up and he comes down the steps and he goes, toes gone. And so I keep teasing her now that her name is Toes. So I told him we were going to Toe's house.
He remembered?
He seemed like he knew what I was talking about.
The
funny part was I told her when we first got there that I told him that we were going to Toe's house, and she didn't have any toenail polish on her toes, and he immediately looked down to see if she had some.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that should be one of the questions you ask when you interview the kids. Did you like going to Toe's house?
He had so much fun playing. Like they had a basketball out and a volleyball, and he was having the time of his life. That's
so cute. Does anyone have any other icks that they feel like are monumental that they'd like to share?
No, I think we pretty well covered. Oh, I was going to say the ones that from the Patreon, because we asked them theirs, and a lot of them, the overall consensus was like loud chewing, smacking of lips, like scratching forks and knives on plates, like all kind of all surrounding food. And then the one that I thought was like worthy of noting too was because I noticed that this bugs me when people do this, is that if you're talking on the phone, like on speakerphone in a store.
Oh, yeah. Or like it's really confusing when people are wearing AirPods and they're talking on the phone, but you think they're talking to you because you can't hear that they're talking on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is confusing.
Like, I don't care if someone has a phone up to their ear or even if they have AirPods in it necessarily, but I do think it's a little bit weird. Like when someone, I don't like if you have it on speakerphone and it's low, like it doesn't bug me, but like if it's really loud and we can hear your whole conversation, I do feel like it's a little bit strange.
You know what I just thought of is when people are on the phone in public bathrooms.
Oh yeah. That's
that is so gross. They're literally like peeing or pooping and still talking on the phone. That is like, and also like that poor person on the other end.
Right.
If I pee with one of you on the phone, I mute while I'm going. But the other one I had written down was self-checkouts. Like no one looks good doing
You mean in like that camera view or whatever?
No, just like in general, like I feel like everyone looks stupid doing the self-checkout because you don't know really what you're doing, and then like something goes wrong, you have to get like the attendant, and then you know what I mean?
No, I don't, but that's okay.
Unreasonable things that give me the ick. I just don't like self-checkout.
Here's the thing. Here's how I feel about self-checkout. If it's my choice to check myself out, great. Because sometimes I don't want to wait in the line. I only have a couple things. My irritation is when it's been forced upon me at Walmart because they have turned literally all of their lanes into self-checkout. I don't want to have $300 worth of groceries that I'm trying to check out, like in self-checkout. That drives me bananas because there's not enough room on the conveyor belt to like actually put all of your groceries in the bagging area. And then it's like, please put the item in the bagging area. And it's like, I don't have any room to put it in the bagging area. Like that drives me bananas.
Yeah, I just don't like self-checkout in general. And I always feel like I do it wrong. And then it takes like an extra long time. I don't know.
But I agree that the camera angle of the security cam is literally terrible. Like, or when you're walking into Target and you can see like yourself overhead, every time I'm like, dang, do I look that big?
I feel that way with most video and photos of myself. Like in real life, I don't think I look that way. And then I see myself in a photo and I'm like, whoa.
I'm convinced it's a wide angle lens every time. I'm like, it's gotta be.
Especially in a group photo when most of your friends are skinnier than you.
But here's the thing. Here's the question though. Do you feel that way when you actually are at a weight that you like? Or do you feel comfortable in your own skin? Let me rephrase that. Because if I'm actually seeing a picture of myself where I have felt comfortable, then I don't think that. It's only when I think that I'm not.
Maybe well, because you're like in the photo.
I was just gonna say you're projecting because you're like critical of the fact that you're bigger than what you were.
Yeah, because there's no wide angle lens when I like the photo.
Here are a few of my other icks. Touching gum underneath the table, like anybody else's gum that I accidentally touch. Like, no, that's a no for me. Let's see. Kids sharing my drink and finding backwash in my drink.
Oh gosh.
Hard pass. I will go and dump my drink out and then I will scrub it down with soap.
I feel like I'd scrub the inside of my mouth with soap.
Oh man, even just talking about it, yeah, it makes me shiver. It's gross. Gross. Balconies that have like if you're at a balcony, but the barrier wall, like the gate only comes up to like maybe your hips, freaks me out. If you're in a high place, it has to have a high barrier wall, like up to my chin. Yeah. Like it should not be to the point that I accidentally fall over the edge.
Or like you could drive your car over the edge and end up in the water.
On a bridge.
On a bridge and you take it out.
Do you dream about going off bridges and you have to knock out the window with your elbow?
Or dinosaurs eating you when you're sleeping.
What'd you say?
Have nightmares of dinosaurs eating you, like Briley.
So Brecken was saying that she had been having these dreams that she was like getting burned. And I was like, dang, I'm going to start praying over your dreams. That's terrible. So I started praying over her at night. And Briley goes, you need to pray for Britton too, because she told me she's having bad dreams as well. And I was like, oh, really? And she goes, yeah, she dreamt that she got ate by a dinosaur.
Oh, I thought it was Briley got eaten by a dinosaur.
No, Britton says Britton had told Briley that she dreamt she had gotten eaten by a dinosaur.
Tara's over here like, oh, my kids are getting spiritual attack. And then you hear the dream and you're like, no. I had the most vivid dream last night that I was hanging out with Kris Kardashian and Kylie. And that we were going to Khloe's kid's birthday party and that Khloe had asked me to bring ice cream. And I was thinking, it's kind of weird that she would
a billionaire needs you to bring ice cream to the party. Like, don't you have caterers?
Like that it should be covered, but it's fine. So like me, Kris, and Kylie were on this like goose chase to find. I wanted to bring Carl's
Cookie Monster
in LA.
Monster, yes. And so I got these like 2 huge tubs of it for the birthday party. And then when I got to her house, of course, it was like, you know how the Kardashians' birthday parties literally look like a wedding. They're like insanely like decorated. And she like definitely didn't need my ice cream. And it was like $137 for the ice cream that I brought. And I was thinking like, this was a really expensive thing to ask me to bring when you didn't need it. And I woke up literally thinking I was friends with the Kardashians. Like I literally thought it was real. It was so weird.
The amount of times I dream about Jennifer Aniston in the same capacity where I was like, oh, I went to dinner with Jen and Brad last night. And then I'm like, no, wait, no, we definitely are not friends.
I know, you wake up, you think it's so real. Like my dreams are very vivid. I have a really funny, but also like gross one. It's
our last one.
Sure. Okay. Well, it's kind of a funny one to end on. This is a book ick. I saw people doing these on TikTok and I don't like in romance books when they refer to a man's penis as his length.
Oh yeah.
I'm always like, ew, there could be any other word to describe it. But they're like, his length against my leg. And I'm like, ugh. I've gotten to the point where I skip a lot of like the spicy scenes just because at some point they all are just the same and they're not necessarily like fun to read. So, but that one, and then in books when they say he smiled, but it didn't make it to his eyes.
Yeah. Okay. They like, it's like authors that bothers me so much. Mean? Yeah, like, exactly. There's so
you smile and not make it like that would be like a big smile. Try it.
I have done this though so many times because there's so many authors that like try to describe like facial expressions, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like they're smirking, but like they didn't like, yeah, they smirked out of the side of their mouth, or they talked out of the side of their mouth, and I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? That makes no sense.
Both of you try right now to smile without it going to your eyes.
Well, I think like what I think of that is that it's like they don't have any like joy in their eyes. That's what I think of.
So they'd be like,
well, it's almost more like a smile, but they just look dead inside.
Like this.
Tara's trying to do it right now.
It's where you don't show your teeth.
That's really hard.
I literally look like a Chucky doll.
That's but also like how insane to see that in person. And these people are like, oh, the male character or whatever, main male character is like doing these like weird facial expressions that like catch the other girl's attention. And instead you look like a psychopath in real life.
On that note.
Yeah, you're like, do you want to end on that one? And I was like, I guess.
Oh, well, I think we're already over an hour.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and listening to the Sisterhood Society podcast. We love you guys so much, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.